Conservatives appear to be a step closer to ending a showdown over who will stand as their chancellor candidate for elections this fall. Senior members of Chancellor Merkel's CDU party voted overnight by a wide margin to back Armin Laschet to run as the Conservatives' candidate for Chancellor. But Laschet is still competing against Markus Söder, who heads the CDU's Bavarian sister party, the CSU. Now, the Conservatives have yet to put forward a unified candidate ahead of September's elections. And for more on this, I am now joined by our political editor, Michelle Kufner. Good to see you, Michelle. So the CDU's top brass has picked Armin Laschet. Will his rival, Markus Söder, accept this decision?
That's the big question, because we've been here before. 1 week ago, something similar happened. The party executive, which was declared as the right forum to determine who the next chancellor candidate is, also backed Armin Laschet then. Only this time we saw what was supposed to be a secret vote. 77% came out in favor. Once again, the challenger from the much smaller sister party in Bavaria said he would accept the decision of the CDU, while he didn't 1 week ago. And now everybody is looking towards Munich, where the CSU headquarters are, and waiting for any word from Markus Söder. So clearly the tail is already wagging the dog here in terms of size and political weight, with everybody waiting with bated breath whether this will be accepted by Markus Söder.
Michelle, why all this bickering? How damaging has this power struggle been for Merkel's conservative bloc?
It could prove hugely damaging at the ballot box. The argument of Markus Söder has always been that he is doing so much better in the polls, and that is true. Some of the approval ratings we've seen, particularly from conservative CDU, CSU followers, see him upwards of 70%. For Armin Laschet, who was set as the candidate pretty much from the word go when he became CDU party leader, it's more like 17. So there is this huge gap. There's already warnings from within that very party executive that just voted in favor of Armin Laschet that this might not be accepted with the party grassroots. So as much as waiting for approval of something like a concession of defeat from Bavaria, the big question is whether the grassroots of the Angela Merkel CDU may now be up in arms. Her own economics minister, Altmaier, who's confident of Angela Merkel, raised doubts about this. He's backing Söder. Angela Merkel is said to have been quiet throughout, so there seems to be a silent approval for Markus Söder at the very least here in, not just in Berlin, but within the conservative camp.
Okay, stand by, Michelle, because I want us to show our viewers this. Polls show that there will be stiff competition from the Greens, which announced its chancellor candidate for the very first time. Let's take a look at their pick, Annalena Baerbock.
With two party leaders, one needed to step aside. And Robert Habeck did so, making Annalena Baerbock the first Green Chancellor candidate ever. In her first speech, she promised a renewal in German politics and a departure from the status quo. We must make changes to create a fair country, a country where daycare centers and schools are truly the best places to be, a country where caregivers genuinely have the time and above all the resources to care for people, a country in which the state functions digitally and serves its citizens, a diverse and cosmopolitan country, a values-based and strong democracy. The 40-year-old became politically active within the Green Party in 2008, focusing on foreign and security issues. Only 5 years later, she entered the Bundestag, the German parliament, at the age of 32. There, she quickly earned respect for her thoroughness and knowledge of detail. She has a degree in international law and spent several years abroad in the US, London and Brussels. She now lives in Potsdam with her husband and their 2 young daughters. The carefully choreographed announcement came in sharp contrast to the bruising power struggle still going on within Germany's Conservative Party. Both contenders there were quick to react to Baerbock's candidacy.
Ich gratuliere Annalena
I
Baerbock.
congratulate Annalena Baerbock, and I can promise her that the CDU in Germany is looking forward to a fair election campaign.
Deutschlands sich auf einen fairen Wahlkampf freut.
Es wird genau um den Platz 1 gehen.
It will be about the first place, Conservatives or Greens.
Und es wird
Hopefully it will be a fair, good and argumentative, but also ambitious election campaign.
Ich glaube, ich würde mich sehr
I would be
darauf freuen.
very happy to be a part of it. But we are not there yet.
Hier noch nicht.
While the Conservatives are still squabbling internally, Annalena Baerbock is already focusing on the general election in September and on becoming Angela Merkel's successor.
Michelle, judging by the surge of the Greens in German politics, it seems very unlikely that Germany's next government could be formed without the Greens in it. What effect would the Greens have on German policy on an international level?
Well, they have the environmental issue, which of course is very important. It's increasingly important to Germans here. But they've also increasingly been able to tap into issues like digitalization. They want to be a big tent party. That's the declaration we've seen here quite clearly. And Annalena Baerbock wants to project the kind of determination she feels it takes to really have a fresh start in Germany after those 16 years of Angela Merkel. The big challenge she will have, though, is to integrate more radical green camps, the green movement, the Fridays for Future movement, with more middle-of-the-road kind of conservative voters. They've been rather successful, actually, in tapping into. That is quite a stretch, and that's something she will be feeling in those 5 months. But for now, they're in pole position to really build on that improvement in the opinion polls, because they've made picking a candidate look like dropping a music album in comparison to the conservative bickering we've seen there.
That's DW's Chief Political Editor, Michelle Kufner. Thank you for that, Michelle.